Hey, it's Ryan again, back with session 2 of Alas for the Awful Sea. I still use he, him pronouns if you somehow didn't catch that from the first video. Or I don't know why you would start here. That's a really weird choice. Go back and watch the start. I don't know. Don't let me tell you how to live your life. We've got the same crew as last time, but I will have them go through and introduce themselves again, because why not? So, alphabetical order, you know the drill.
Which I think
Oh, but
means
this time, in addition to your own name, give your character's name, because now we know who that is.
so. I think alphabetical order means I go first. I think that's what we established last time. So I am Jim Crocker. Folks who know me from outside of the gauntlet and watching these videos probably know me because I am all over the place at conventions up and down the East Coast and the Midwest selling games very much like the one that we are playing. And in fact, I will have the game that we are playing at the next convention that I'm at because they're going to send it to me from Australia, which is kind of cool. So, but that's a business I have called Jim Likes Games. That's where you can find me on Twitter at Jim Likes Games, or at I do a little blogging about games on my website, www.jimlikesgames, just like it sounds. I go by he, him pronouns, but if you're the kind of person who's preferring to use they for everybody, that is fine with me too. There's no problem there. And I am playing the doctor, the good doctor, Dr. Benjamin Mott. Um, in game terms, I have the playbook The Surgeon, and my descriptor is The Believer. He is a former Navy doctor who, after witnessing the carnage at the Battle of Trafalgar, became a Quaker and is trying to make his way. I think he's not quite sure what he wants, but he has found himself back out on the sea again, helping people where he can, in with this crew of oddballs and reprobates. So that is Dr. Benjamin Mott.
All right. So I'm Peter. I use he, him pronouns. I'm on Twitter as at Blazing Lion if anyone wants to check it out. Kind of a blip, but that never stops people. The character that I am playing in this wonderful little session is Isaac McCarr. For playbook wise, I'm using the Scholar, and my descriptor is the Lover. And basically, Isaac is he's sort of a researcher or a professor of some kind or whatever, and he's a little bit out of his element on the sea. He's survived this long mainly to the help of his companions, and he sort of has sordid past that he doesn't really talk about. You wouldn't really assume it just from his demeanor and current, just the way he carries himself and everything. But I mean, that's the thing about this game. You not quite sure where he's going, but there are certainly things that he is in want of, and we'll see how that plays out.
And I'm Sarah, she, her. I am playing Pearl, they, them. Although I was thinking over the week that what probably happens is they get on a ship and someone calls them something, and then that sticks the rest of the voyage. And then it probably switches the next time on and off. But they are a creature, a sort of eel sea dragon thing. Haven't actually seen that yet. But I think they're kind of always a stowaway of sorts, but also kind of a protector of like the ship and the crew that they're on at the time. They've not been on land in a while. They just ship hop. So this is new.
So, last time on Alas for the Awful Sea, we had our crew weather a once in a lifetime sort of storm. Made all the easier to weather because Benjamin Mott is an incredibly persuasive sort of person. And he convinced everyone below decks that they were going to survive this. This was them not perhaps seeing the face of God, but seeing him pass by. And they could tell all their friends, children, about this one day when they surely survive, because none of them would be lost. They definitely think he's got a direct line to God. That's not going to come back and haunt him at any point. Our scholar got some perhaps useful data, studied out on the storm, screaming for a while, I think, and was assisted in coming ashore when the three of them came ashore by two fairly hot twins, I think. He's not entirely sure which one helped him, but he doesn't seem too stressed about that. Pearl attempted to communicate with the sea and then to hug it, which didn't work so well, but did find that the sea is upset about something. I'm gonna let people do sort of a quick recap of what was most important to their character, because I'm always curious what stuck on people. But our main thing was giant storm, came ashore, and now you are in an inn, which is such a cliche now that I say it, but there we are.
Do we want to do alpha order again? Or?
Sure, let's just do it that way.
Okay, sure.
It's
not
like
cliche.
your little last time on clip of yourself.
There we go. Yeah, it's not a cliche; it's a trope. So that's totally fine. That's a common vocabulary that we share that allows us to know where we are without having to explain it. So you're totally good. You recapped kind of one of the two sort of high points for the Doctor. The first one was his inspiring the crew to hold it together while we were being buffeted by the storm. And I think the other thing that was kind of really, that was quite striking, was my conversation with Pearl about the voices we hear when we are on the sea. And my relief at being able to spend a night on shore, and Pearl's kind of contrasted with Pearl's reticence at spending a night on shore, and our kind of like trying to communicate with each other about what those voices mean to us, and that they are comforting to Pearl and nightmarish to me, and trying to maybe figure out what that means for the two of us. And we left with me kind of at the little stone church on the island, whatever little church that they had erected. And I invited Pearl to join me, and Pearl politely declined, but was not a jerk about letting me go do it. So we had a very interesting and informative chat as we kind of walked around the island and looked at stuff.
So I think even just between my own description of Isaac and then sort of what happened last session with him, one of the interesting things that's kind of been happening is, to coin a commonly used phrase, he's very much a fish out of water. He has been sort of out of place amongst these people who have really just kind of been used to doing things this certain way. And it's really funny, because when I think about what's important to him, I think I'm still trying to find that too. The most interesting things were actually some of the little things. There was the moment that I think I caught Pearl looking down at the water and seeing the eels, and I asked them point blank what the deal was with that, and it was, well, no, how could it be related? And I think I'm kind of interested in seeing what happens if he starts to have a little bit more interest / doubt in things being as they are, because I think he's starting to lean more towards allowing things to be different than what they seem. And I think he's, he might be a little bit more all over the place and kind of jumbly, but I think I'm trying to find his center. And we'll see how that plays out.
And let's see, so trying to hug the sea didn't work. Then having sort of at a distance contact with the others of my kind, calling them to bring the ship into harbor safely. Also, yeah, definitely that conversation with Dr. Benjamin Mott when we were taking the stroll about the island. I think my favorite moment was that comment about you not being on fire anymore, but if you were, the rain would put you out.
Yeah, no one is yet sure how to address Dr. Benjamin Mott, so we are on the side of extremely formal.
Actually, that is one thing I wanted to include that I kind of realized in hindsight. No one is quite sure what, like, the thing to use in front of Isaac's name is, whether he's a professor or a doctor, and he hasn't corrected anyone yet. So we'll see.
Does he even have a degree? For shame. Oh, this is sort of in the age when you can pretty much just announce yourself a naturalist, and yay, that is true. So I guess my first question is there anything anybody else really wanted to accomplish that night? In that case. Oh, Pearl.
Well, not so much like a separate task, but on the way back, if we can arrange to go this way, I did want to pick up the net from the boat that I was given, because I left it on the shore.
Yeah, you can definitely do that and have weird broken net with you.
Well, my thought was if they were going to give me a hammock, I could just make it out of this.
Aw. That's sweet and deeply weird, and that seems very appropriate for Pearl. So, next day, I'm not sure what sort of time you'll rise, but they, of course, put you up in rooms because they don't have very many. I mean, there's, I think, 3. Are you going to double up or insist upon your own accommodations? Or triple up, I suppose?
I mean, in the boat, they just kind of throw us all together. Although the doctor might, both of you actually might have a high enough station to warrant your own quarters.
I think in the last game we kind of established that we did each have our own small billet, each of us. Because we ran back to his quarters to grab his instruments.
True.
And it's certainly the case on the ship. That does, beg the question, though, how we decide to divvy it up on land.
Yeah, it doesn't matter terribly, but I was curious if you're coming in like high rollers or insisting upon all crammed into one room. I think that they will be happy to put you up separately, though, if you want, because what's the point of having extra space? But regardless.
Okay.
Yeah. Next morning, you can come down. They have a pot of, like, oatmeal going. It's not awesome, but it's food. And I'm sure Quakers are super into oats. That's the one stereotype I know.
Are there eggs?
There are probably a few eggs.
There are eggs. That would wake me up. The smell of eggs.
Yes.
Which is not something we get on the ship.
And Cam is sitting kind of off to the side, repainting that sign. Because clearly it didn't weather the storm very well. And it's starting to say Hawk's Rest on it, with a pretty little hawk picture. Clearly he's not an artist, but he's doing his best. And our innkeeper, Agnes, is going to, as soon as anybody enters the area, immediately just rush over with some food because you paid up front. And that's the sort of person you keep happy.
I eat 3 whole eggs, one after the other.
Just shell and all?
kill them first.
Okay.
Oh, so like boiled eggs or something.
I imagine there must be boiled eggs.
Yeah.
Hard-boiled was what I was saying, but if we're paying
Yes.
up front, they might scramble you something.
Well,
True. I think they probably have some boiled ones, but they'll do them however you like. Since you
I'm
paid.
assuming I'm going to get a little poached egg in a little cup. Like, they put it in a little cup and you'd, like, tap the top with your spoon and then you'd scoop it out and eat it that way. So...
Very fancy. They will make that happen if you want.
oh, yes, yeah. If they can poach eggs for me, I will have a couple of poached eggs. Fantastic.
I think, just real quick, I think Isaac side-eyes the eggs and then just kind of like saunters over. Is there bacon?
There is no bacon to be had here.
Well, then he's going to kind of like... Okay, so there are eggs, there's no bacon. Like, out of curiosity, what else is available?
If you want some kippers, they can do that. But the main protein on offer is fish or egg.
I think I'll go for the fish then. For some reason, Isaac is avoiding the eggs.
I'll have yours.
Please.
Excellent. Did you, Pearl, I noticed you dragging that net upstairs. Did you set yourself up a hammock?
Yes, you said that I could.
Oh, of course, of course. I just, were you comfortable? I know it's, there was no, it was, the room was, did not rock the way that the ship does, which I found quite comforting, but I know you've spent most of your life aboard ships.
It took me a long time to fall asleep, and I didn't hear anything. Usually, that comes at night.
I did not hear anything last night either. It was, I have not slept so well in months.
Are you guys saying this publicly, like where I can hear? Or is it just a conversation between the two of you?
Oh, I think
we're all probably sitting at the same table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think Isaac's just kind of like looking between you two, like, I didn't hear any voices either.
Well, Mr. McCarr, count yourself lucky.
Well,
Okay.
You slept well, though.
well enough. Are you going to eat all that fish?
I am not going to have any of this fish. I will swap it with you for that bowl of oatmeal I see that you have not touched.
Please.
Slide the plates around, do that thing. Everybody ends up with what they want.
Is there anyone else here, or is it just Kid Painting and us?
At the moment, it looks like it's really just the three of you in here and Kid Painting in the corner. Agnes comes through, kind of makes sure that people aren't waiting on something, scurries off again. She must be the only person working here besides Cam, because she seems worried that stuff's going to burn in the back. But she is easy to get a hold of if you want to flag her down.
Just like when she comes over, the two men who are going to fix the ship. Have they gone out already? Do you know?
Oh, the birdies, yes. They'll have gone out this morning to talk to your captain, I assume.
Okay, thank you.
So Agnes, I cannot thank you enough for your hospitality, and in particular, you have poached these eggs perfectly, which does require some skill, and I compliment you. I expect that we may be here a couple of days with the repairs to the ship. What can you tell us about the island? We, Pearl and I, took a constitutional last evening and saw some of it, but we're not. but we did not. But we would love to hear the story of how you came to be here.
Same story as everyone, I suppose. When you're told to leave, you have to go somewhere, and here's where the land's cheap.
Ah, um, well, you have you've done well here. You've made a wonderful home, and I hope that you have found this more welcoming than wherever it was that you left.
She nods a little, appreciating the sentiment there, if not necessarily the bringing up the clearances. And yeah, there's not a lot to see on the island. You're seeing us in the leaner months. There'd be more activity going in the summer, but I mean, there's the church. There's
I
here,
visited
there's not a lot.
I visited last night. There was a building, and if I get this wrong as a player, because it's been a week, wasn't there like a building that we saw that was kind of removed from the town, sort of up on a bluff or something like that?
Yes, the nicest house in town.
Okay. Oh, yes. There was quite a fine house up on a bluff overlooking the town. Perhaps that is where, is that the founder, or
She
dot, dot.
manages not
Yeah.
to snort as you say that.
Okay.
Yes, no, yeah, that'd be Iona. You best not go messing with her now.
Sorry, as a player, I didn't quite catch what you said there.
Oh, she says that that'd be Iona's, and you'd best not go messing with her.
Oh, I really want to read her thoughts here.
Go for
Having
it.
said that, I'm now
Roll me a roll.
I kind of raise an eyebrow. That's intriguing. So I'm going to be rolling plus brain on this, which is one of my two good stats. So let's see what happens. Oh, that gets me a 12.
Oh dear.
Rolled a 10 plus 2. So I'm going to ask 3 anytime during the course of our action. Oh, what does she wish I'd do?
She wishes you would stop asking about this right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. What does she intend to do?
She intends to go back, stir some oatmeal, and try to look like a completely normal proprietor who just wants to get some people some food and isn't involved in island politics.
Got it. Okay. How can I get her to introduce me to Iona?
That's a good question.
And I am always and a thing I should say as a player, I am always I have no problem with the answer to these being yeah, no way. So like if that's like I won't feel like you're roadblocking me if that's really what's going on.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I think the answer is that it would take a lot of convincing to get her to introduce you to Iona. But if there's word that you're looking for Iona, she'll find you.
Got it. Okay, I get that. It's not a very big island, so got it.
No.
Okay, all right.
I think that, after listening to this exchange and just kind of maybe just getting a cursory sense that, okay, Iona, off the table, don't bring that up. I'm just going to kind of ask, there doesn't seem like there's a lot of people on this island. Is there perhaps anyone else that we should necessarily be on the lookout for?
On the lookout for? It's
not
a dangerous island, if
no,
that's what you're worried about. We're not pirates here.
No. I simply mean that we're unfamiliar to these parts, so I just want to make sure that we don't accidentally go around stepping on toes where we can avoid them.
think you might be trying to manipulate another here if you're asking her to give you the lay of the land.
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and roll.
How beautiful
Okay.
are you?
Ah, beauty. About that beauty. I am 0. So I don't get anything added, but I don't get anything subtracted. So let's, odds are I'm not gonna be too bad. So I'm just rolling 2d6. Okay, cool. 2d6. That is a 9. Not too bad.
That's quite respectable.
Yeah, it says they change the terms to suit themselves or demand concrete assurance first.
So, tell me what it is you want here, since you can ask for as much as you like, and I will then decide how much you get.
Okay. Basically, I'm trying to get a sense for points of interest and slash people of interest on the island. We've already heard of Iona, and we're already semi-familiar with the people in this. But I also know that I'm sensing that while there aren't pirates, there's something underlying that's causing a bit of tension going on. So I'm trying to figure out at least a little bit more information on that. Hence the not stepping on toes.
So she's gonna twist the terms to suit herself by the sort of answer she gives, because she's like, oh, well, there's Father Gordon, of course, up at the church. I don't know if you saw him last night. He tends to retire a bit early. He's getting on in years. And I suppose Mora, she's like everyone's grandmother on the island. And then, I don't know, of course, but none of that's here or there. Oh no, I think I saw something burning. And she's just going to scoot off rapidly before you can ask clarifying questions, because she does not want to have this conversation with you.
Sure, okay. And on that note, I'm going to turn my attention towards Cam. Was he at all...
in the corner, looking like he really wants to go see what you're about, but that would be rude, so he's just kind of staring in quick glances.
All right. I think I'm going to sort of have my plate cleared. I've eaten at least a decent amount, but I think the sort of knowledge that's been a little bit forthcoming is kind of making me more hungry for more knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just walk over to Cam and kind of, is there a place I can sit beside him while he's working, just so that we can have an open conversation?
Yeah, he's at one of the benches because they're all open right now. What's the point of worrying about taking up space for customers when there's no one in here? And so there are plenty of places for you to sit near or vaguely near him.
Okay. I think if there is a bench of some sort where I could just sit directly across from him, I'm just going to take a seat and kind of gesture to the sign and say, couldn't handle the weather outside. No,
I repainted it just the day before, and clearly it hadn't dried all the way yet. But...
You guys experience a lot of storms like this, or was that, about as unique as, I guess, any we've encountered?
It's been, stormy lately. I guess not too weird for the season, but nothing quite so strong as that. No, that was, hope I don't see another one like that.
Yeah. I can certainly agree with that, especially while we're staying here. It would certainly make things more difficult. Listen, I am, I know we're just staying, but when I kind of see something that's maybe a little troubling, I try and help where I can. So, I just happened to notice that everything's sort of all right around here. I'm just sensing a little tension.
We get on well enough. I mean, I know Mom doesn't like the terms, but yeah, works
Terms?
work. And he does that, oh no, I have been a blabbermouth sort of
No.
face, and he's suddenly very interested in getting the feathers right on this wing.
Listen, it's okay. I won't try to push this topic if it's not something you're supposed to talk about. I mean,
I mean, I would, but I know Mom wouldn't like it if I went talking about her business to Blowens.
well, I mean, maybe you don't have to think about it as talking about her business. It could be talking from the perspective of someone else who's, you know, the cause of this, per se.
You're the cause of this?
No, no, no. I'm simply, if we take a moment to step sort of outside of both of our perspectives, we might find a way to talk about this so that I'm not violating anyone's trust. And out of character, I am trying to outsmart him.
By all means, outsmart a person.
Yeah. I have
So tell
I
me
was,
your plan and roll brains.
Yeah, so my plan, as soon as I scroll down to my character sheet, because I had the page open, but it was on the captain, and I ain't no captain. Uh, right. So my plan is basically, I want to speak in sort of the vaguest terms of like, so we're just talking, just two sort of friends, but but basically by trying to kind of lessen the tension, what I'm also trying to do is figure out who exactly has set these terms, because it doesn't seem like they're necessarily favorable towards this inn even. And I want to find out, I want to get to the bottom of sort of who this is, because I think on land I actually have better footing and might be able to use sort of some of my own, shall we say, resources to assist with this matter. All right, so roll plus brains, and my brains are 2. Cool, I knew that. That was the thing I knew. Okay, here we go. And yep, that went so badly. That was a 4 total. I rolled 2 1s. Man, oh man. So that is, I succeed, but it backfires. Have fun with that. I'm actually getting a little bit like nervous now.
Oh my goodness. I forgot that that's the miscondition for that one, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, I didn't know either. It's not that I fail, it's that, good job.
Yeah.
However,
So he seems to kind of warm to this because you're asking him in a sort of sneaky way, and he's in on the secret here, and it feels, very cool. And so not really looking at you, focusing very much on the sign, kind of have whispers that, like she's, business has been real good. She's getting comfortable, starting to throw more money around here, and, the Brodies have their own thing going, and I know Mom doesn't want me working for either of them, so I'm here, of course. And just then, Agnes comes out of the back, sees him talking to you, and just kind of grabs him by the scruff of the shirt and says, no, I need you in the back, and drags him away from you, protesting. which would be a little awkward on its own, except that the door also opens, and there appears a very large, very sturdy looking man. Looks like he's probably seen some, combat or conflict of some sort at some point. And the sort of person that is sort of a threat by looking at you, in a way. Just kind of nods to Agnes, who does a quick nod and disappears into the back. And says, "So, you'll be from that ship that came in."
It says that to me.
Yeah, I think so, because you're out on a bench. You're the most visible.
Yes, we do actually come from there. Yes. Isaac McCarr. How do you do?
Kind of nods. Hugh. So, I'm hearing there was some cargo for us on that ship. You know anything about that?
I'm going to kind of flip my eyes towards the good doctor and just kind of, try and as subtly as possible do the quick wide-eyed. What is he talking about?
Yeah, out of game, we weren't meant to stop here, right?
Out of game? I don't think you were told you were going to stop here, but it sounds like he thought you were.
Okay. Then I'll just be honest and say, I'm sorry. I think you might have us confused with actually a different ship entirely. So, what sort of cargo were you asking about?
Must not have been yours then. Yeah, it's rough. See, knocks people off horse all the time.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't actually catch your name.
Hugh.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think I lean across the table toward Dr. Benjamin Mott, sort of quietly, and looking at this person who's just arrived. He feels weird.
And I raise an eyebrow inquisitively towards you, inviting you to elaborate.
I don't like him.
And I nod, and I say quietly, I have learned to trust your instincts. And then I stand and extend a hand to Hugh and say, Hugh, pleased to make your acquaintance. I'm Dr. Benjamin Mott.
He just looks at the hand like, what the heck? Before extending one to shake, like you've done some bizarre custom that has never been seen on this island before.
Sure.
Sort of thing. And pleased to make your acquaintance as well, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed. We are, while we are members of the ship's company, we are not familiar with the cargo manifest. Perhaps we could walk down to the shore together and I could introduce you to the captain.
And it looks like he's trying to work out what your angle is here, because you must have an angle, but he can't quite find it. He's going to nod. It's like, yeah, it might be.
Excellent. Where are my manners? Could we offer you some oatmeal?
And there's almost disdain in his look as he glances over at your partially eaten oatmeal breakfast. He's like,
no, I would, and I laugh at the misapprehension, at the fool I have made of myself, in not being clear that I would ask Agnes to prepare a fresh bowl of oatmeal for him if that's the kind of thing that he enjoys. Have you broken your fast yet this morning?
Yeah, I've eaten already.
Ah, Well then, excellent. Perhaps I can accompany you down to the shore, and we can speak with the captain.
I see Sarah unmuting. What that?
Oh, no, I'm waiting for you guys to leave because I'm going to follow you after shoving like 5 more eggs into my pockets.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Hugh will allow himself to be led to the shore by Dr. Mott, who is very good at baffling people with rapid conversation, apparently.
So, and so I'm just gonna like pepper him with questions as we walk down the hill. How long have you lived here? What was it that brought you here? I can't help but notice that that the scarring on your fingertips indicates your handiness. Your handiness with a flintlock. Were you a veteran? Stuff like this. As we kind of go down the hill.
You get single syllables and grunts and weird looks like, what is up with you? And finally says, you've got a lot of questions, don't you?
Inquiry is how we know the mind of God, my friend. If we do not ask questions, we will never find answers.
And I think, just really quick, I think that Isaac has actually been following along, kind of like in the middle of the two of them, following right behind. So he's been listening the entire time. He's not even trying to like hide it, but like it seems normal for him to just go along so that he can be a part of the greeting party, you know. And it sort of gives him an excuse to like see if he can find out more without having to be direct. Yeah, he's participating.
But I appreciate your reticence, sir. We are strangers. We have only made acquaintance with each other this morning, and I have peppered you with questions in a manner that is perhaps unseemly, but forgive me, it has been when you are on board ship, as long as we have been, the opportunity for conversation with a soul with whom you are unfamiliar is something of a gift, actually.
And he just kind of nods like, yeah, clearly you've been on a ship way too long. What is with this chatterbox? And kind of doesn't even do a full glance, but just kind of indicates that he's very aware that Isaac is following. So, Isaac, you are noticed.
That's fine. I think Isaac...
I assume you're not trying to sneak.
No, Isaac just nods back. It's actually... I think the surprising thing is that when Hugh does kind of glance back, you could almost mistake Isaac for almost walking a little bit more confidently than he normally does. And it's...
I'm so proud.
Yeah, no, it's... You know, it's a blink and you miss it thing, but it's there. It's like he's growing a backbone.
Yeah. And as you approach the shoreline, you can see that Captain Ward has come ashore and is busy discussing with the Brodies. And there's another one now who looks like he's older than the other two, but they are clearly related. And they're talking about ship repairs and how much it's going to cost and quoting figures and negotiating, that sort of stuff. Probably all very interesting to people who have more shipbuilding background than the three of you. Although, I don't know, maybe Pearl knows a lot about shipbuilding.
Probably pick things up here and there.
Yeah.
Is there anything interesting in this conversation that I should know?
Not particularly. It seems like they're lowballing a bit, but that they really want this to go through. I mean, you would probably, from just the look of the town, get that a sudden thing of income is worth any inconvenience to get some money out of a ship. So, nothing too unusual going on there.
Captain, ahoy!
And she waves. Yeah. Ahoy, Dr. Bott.
Thank
you for finding these shipbuilders for me.
Yes. Well, I must confess it was they who found us. There is a most quaint little inn up the hill. They have 3 rooms, and I would suggest that perhaps, given the amount of time that we will spend here for repairs, I'd say, and kind of like raising my voice as I'm pitching it as a question. How long will we be here for repairs?
And she glances at the Brodies, and it seems like they've been having this conversation as she mentions that, of course, we will pay extra for speed. And they're doing the, but we can only work so fast sort of thing. Which is even more appropriate, I suppose, given that they have Scottish accents. So it does sound very, going as fast as I can, Captain.
Yeah. Well,
they seem hesitant to put a date on it, and she is pushing hard for, so we'll be out of here by the week, right? And it seems like this back and forth has been going for a while.
But it's several days at the very least. Not like there's no way we're out of here like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. I say there's a quaint little inn at the top of the hill. The proprietress, I must admit, fed us poached eggs and fresh oatmeal this morning. And I would suggest that perhaps yourself, the mate, the other officers might rotate each an evening in the inn for some relief. Mr. If you provide us the appropriate orders, I'm sure that Mr. McCarr and I, with the aid of Pearl, can see to it that everything remains shipshape while you enjoy a night on shore.
And there's like almost a second of irritation, like, why are you telling me how to do my job? Followed by, oh, that is a really good idea. And she hadn't realized there was an in the hand, and just kind of nods, like, of course, she sent you for reconnaissance. This is you doing your job to the best of your ability on her orders. You're not being insubordinate or anything. I was like, yes, of course, we'll definitely need some time aside. I need a break from pumping, at least.
You're going to leave the ship? Alone?
Hardly alone.
Well, she will be in excellent hands. I've requested the captain that you join us on board when she is ashore to make sure that that the repairs proceed apace. Oh, but I forget my manners. Captain, this gentleman is Hugh. He asked us about the cargo manifest. He seemed to believe that there were goods to be delivered to the island, but we told him that we weren't aware of any such thing, but that I would make the appropriate introductions. Hugh, the captain, Hugh.
And here, Hugh actually offers a hand, which is kind of rude to the captain because she outranks him by a ton. Says that he's meeting on behalf of Iona Downey. You may have heard of her. And the captain nods like, yes, she's aware of who that person is, and actually doesn't go for the shake. And it comes off as a bit of a reprimand, because you should know that she's more important than he is. But she seems to know what he's talking about.
Interesting. Are they going to get into it while we're standing there, or is this she kind of scoots us away?
Yeah,
so
she does give you a glance, like, dismissed. Like, if you stand around longer, she's going to formally tell you you're dismissed and go away.
Okay, all right. Pearl, I sense your agitation. Shall we return to the ship and make sure that it's and see what sort of shape she's in?
Yes. They haven't started work yet, have they?
I believe that they are negotiating terms at this time.
And the captain looks irritated at that question because they should have started work now. They should have started work 3 hours ago. Why are we in negotiations? Sort of thing.
So I'll let them sort of do what they do. But I think this is around the point where Isaac has slipped away back towards the island. Whether or not people notice, I don't think that's necessarily his concern. But it is clear we will be here for a while, and that means time to familiarize.
Yeah. I don't think that any of them are really paying close attention to you right now, so your notice goes your disappearance goes unnoticed by the NPCs, at least. I don't know what your fellow PCs might make of it.
Okay. In terms of intention, I'm going to see if I can find a path that will lead me up to the top of the bluff. If I encounter any NPCs along the way, I'll interact then, but my intention is to reach the top.
And just for you, because we all know you can speak to birds, I'm going to point out that now that it's not the middle of a storm, there are a lot of wading birds, there's some hawks circling further inland. I mean, someone who can speak to birds would probably be aware of all of these, wonderful specimens.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of looking at all of them, and I glance back to see the rest of them, the NPCs and everyone over by the ship, and I just kind of smile a bit and nod to the birds as I pass, and just kind of every so often go, "No, you're absolutely right." So that anyone else watching is like, "Well, can he talk to birds? I'm just gonna keep that going."
Yeah, that does get a weird look from Hugh. Like, what on earth is up with these people?
Good to see he noticed my...
Yeah, you don't seem to have really caught his notes before now, but now you're just... There's something wrong with you. He doesn't know what it is.
Well, pray he doesn't find out.
But the other two are going back on the ship, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quick glance toward the captain and Hugh. Like, does she look like she has control of the situation, I guess? Like, she can handle herself?
Yeah, she's in full captain thing, but it does seem like you might want to rate a situation here, possibly, if you want more details, or if you're just reading what her stance is.
Yeah, these look good. Let's do that. Unless sense what's beyond would apply.
Sense what's beyond can always apply if you want to tell me why you're sensing beyond.
All right, let's stick with read a situation then. That is plus brain. Oh dear. There's a 5. So you make things worse.
Can I try to help?
You can definitely help or hinder if you have a bond with Pearl.
Yeah, I do. Oh no, I don't have a bond with Pearl. Do I have a bond with Pearl? Let me look at my bonds. I forget mechanically how we're set up here.
If I were to guess, I think each of us have a bond with each PC.
Because we both hear the voices.
Bonds, yes, yep. Pearl seems suitably impressed by your skills. Your bond with me is that we both hear the voices. My bond
it's not two-way
is that my bond with you is that I keep trying to show off in front of you.
Yeah,
and
because
so
he keeps insisting you need to learn medicine.
So I think that like the sewing thing and stuff like that and everything. Yeah. And so I think that maybe as we are Uh, um, so is this like kind of as we're walking to the boat or something like that? Where, um, uh, I wonder if I can, uh, read their lips a little bit for you and kind of say like, oh, he's asking her this.
Yeah, I think like I am not paying attention to the content of their conversation anymore.
Sure.
It's more just like trying to read body language and like what sense am I getting. But if you are telling me what they're actually saying, that might
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's really cool. Okay, so I have a +1 bond with you. So let me roll that.
Unfortunately, I think you're going to have to roll very high to actually make a difference.
Yeah, I would have had to roll a 10 plus to get the +2. I only got myself to a 7, which means you would take +1, which is not enough to get you there. But it was worth giving it a shot. You know,
and that's enough to mean that you don't get caught up in it being worse.
Yes, yeah, we built a little fiction, so that's good.
And I think like as you're leaning over to tell me what they're saying, since this didn't actually work, I think I just have to concentrate harder on like looking at them, and it's almost more of a distraction.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't manage to read very much useful off of them. And the captain gives you a look like, why are you hanging around staring at us? You have things to do. Which is as clear a dismissal as you're going to get, short of her ordering you to leave.
I will take the hint. So yeah, into the boat we took here, yes. Although we don't have anyone to row.
I'm sure if you want to make Handsome Bill row or something, you can.
No, sorry, just my housemates are watching football. It is loud. Is Handsome Bill around?
We haven't established Handsome Bill isn't around, so sure, he'll be around.
All right, sure. Yep, we'll take him along.
So it's an uneventful row back out to the boat. Yeah, the sea's relatively calm today. I mean, it's a sort of natural harbor. It's never too wild in here, but it's not raining, so it's a much nicer trip. You can get on the boat, no problem. People are, trading out turns on the bilge pump because that's hard, boring work and nobody really wants to do it, but everybody's gotta.
I missed it.
You missed what?
The sea.
Oh, well, there will be no shortage of the sea in our future, I am sure. Perhaps in furtherance of your instructions to me on how to be an able sailor, we could go over the damage of the boat and you could tell me what it means and what they'll need to do to fix it.
All right. It happened. We'll have to go down below decks, I think. And we will do that. Let me see. Now, getting down there, can I... Did we... I'm trying to remember. Were we told what actually caused this? Was it rocks or just kind of...
You didn't get a lot of information on what was going on, except that the sea was apparently upset and taking it out on your ship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Looking at the damage, I think I do want to see if I can figure out exactly what happened. Because, like, I was in the water when it happened, but I don't think I really saw.
So, if you want to try to sense what's beyond, that would be logical, I suppose. But if you're just trying to, from a sea dog, evaluate what happened to the ship, you could probably do that without a roll. But
Okay,
it's up to you.
if there's something for sense what's beyond, I'll go with that, because I want to know what made the sea sad in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
If that is possible to figure out at this point. That is a 12.
Oh dear, you are super beyond.
So, visions and truth.
So, for a moment in your vision, you're underwater and everything's calm and beautiful. And home, I suppose. And you see a school of herring, well, a shoal of herring, really, moving past you. And then you see the net that's around them. And you see, like, a white-nosed dolphin in there as well. And there's a sense of overwhelming panic for a moment. And the sea starts to churn.
Do I recognize that net?
It seems to be roughly the same sort that washed up against your boat. I don't know if I muted myself too quickly there, but...
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I think what this looks like to you, Doctor, is Pearl sort of like stepping down into the water that is already on the ship. And just like the water's probably pouring in, and I just put my hand into it and start just kind of feeling around. Would it be possible to also tell what physically happened here so that I don't sound like a crazy person?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've been on enough boats to know that this must have been, like, knocked into a rocky formation or something briefly. I mean, it washed off quickly. It didn't smash upon the rocks, but that bit of extra strain was more than the beams could take, and they cracked in. It's gonna be a hassle to repair, but, you know, the ship will be fine after some repairs. You're pretty sure. You've seen ships weather worse than that.
So there's no actual hole. It's just that the wood like needs to be patched up and like the caulking redone or something.
Yeah, it's not a gaping hole. It's just that the timbers should be tight and fitted, and they've kind of cracked and warped, and there's seams running through them that shouldn't be there. You want to make sure it's done right, though, or you're going to be out at sea, and it's going to come loose.
Gotcha. All right. So stepping back, they just need to make it watertight again. The storm earlier yesterday, the sea, it wasn't just sad, melancholy. It was afraid too.
Of us? Surely we're an insignificant speck compared to all of that, I say, kind of sweeping my hand to indicate the entirety of the ocean. How could it be afraid of us?
Oh, yes, but even small things can hurt. But the ship will be okay. They'll fix it. And if they do it right, it'll be seaworthy again. but it won't fix the problem, I don't think.
The problem.
The sea. It'll just keep getting sad and angry and afraid again. But maybe that's beyond us.
I fear perhaps it might be. Well, perhaps if we can be joyous when we travel, maybe the sea can pick some of that up from us.
Are you giving advice on how to act like a true believer here? I have to ask just because that sounded a bit like advice to go forward.
Oh, well, when they come to me for advice, would you, Pearl, like, are you coming to me for advice here, or are you just telling me what's going on?
I don't want to stick words in both of your mouths. I was just going,
yeah, exactly.
We're going to move there.
Yeah, let's say. Because, like, Pearl doesn't know how to make this better.
Okay.
With their
Okay.
kind of limited resources. So,
Got it.
yeah.
So yeah, shepherd of men. When someone comes to you for guidance, teach them to act as a true believer. If they heed your words, take +1 to the next roll needed to follow your advice. And this is the, like, don't hide your light under a bucket thing here. You know what I mean? Like, if we are joyous when we are upon the sea, then perhaps the sea can pick some of that up from us. If we bring joy with us, then we can't help but the people that we encounter can't help but perhaps be filled with it themselves.
And I think Pearl nods. That's nice. Pearl nods and says, "That's beautiful. But do you think we can?" I just mean your nightmares. And it's so sad.
Perhaps if I follow my own ministrations, it will help with the nightmares as well. Maybe you can teach me to hear it the way you hear it.
It's still only sad. And I think I reach out and, like, take both of your hands and say, "But let's be happy."
And I kind of look surprised at this, like, because you're not one for, like, gestures of intimacy like this, and I kind of look down at our hands, and I kind of nod.
And it's not like a romantic thing at all.
No,
it's just like human connection.
Yeah, I totally get it. But yeah, no, but am I reading too much into it to say that that's perhaps not a thing you're known for on shipboard, clapping people on the back?
Yes.
Stuff like that? Okay, cool. All right.
Like, hold myself very much apart, I think.
Yep.
Because humans, people.
So I kind of look a little startled at that. And then I kind of cock my head and I say, well, we can certainly try. Shall we? And then I kind of I think then what I do is I kind of, like, sit down on the dry part and I pull my shoes off and I kind of wade gingerly down into the water with you, and I say, "Can you show me where the ship is hurt?" And I'll let you, like, guide my hand along the timbers and all that kind of stuff and everything, and sort of learn from you what's going on. And if we want to fade the scene there, I think that is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and I think we're going to skip over to our scholar after our first 5-minute break. So imagine some commercials play in here or something. I'm going to, just for fun, because, hey, why not copy Patrick and everything I do, drop a pump shanty that is probably the sound of Below Decks, although it's a bit bawdy, if you'll forgive that. And I will see you at, like, a little after 20 past the hour. And in lieu of hold music, we have Peter dancing.
Perfectly in time. Also, excellent idea, Ryan, for one missed call.
I'm good.
Sorry, it's hard to frame strong GM questions while also cracking up about you dancing in time to a pump shanty. So
It's certainly been one of the best songs I've heard all day.
So before we get too deep into what you're doing, Isaac, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What about Victor was so attractive?
There was something about the way he listened to you when, in this case, I was speaking about all of the things that I learned in kind of in our travels and everything. And he listened, and the way he looked, he was so good at making eye contact, and it was like you were the only person in the room. And sometimes, that meant, okay, I have to talk a lot. And sometimes it just meant, it's okay. You don't always have to say things. It could always mean more if you don't.
Cool. So where are you going on your ramble?
Oh, man. Okay, so the Dr. Mott mentioned that they passed by the church already. So, and I think Cam mentioned, Father Gordon. So I think, at least for now, I'm going to let that pass. I think there was a person that was mentioned that I might actually be able to get a little bit more insight from, and I want to see if I can go find Mora. I'll just kind of ask around a little bit, but the way that Cam described her as everyone's grandmother, she might have a more distant perspective from this, where I might actually be able to get some answers. On the other hand, she could also just be like, "Stay out of politics," and I'll be like, "What?"
Yes, the island's grandmother tells you that, you look thin, you should eat some more, and then tells you to go away and, play with the other boys or something.
I just love that because Isaac's kind of soft and pudgy, and she's just like, "You're too thin," and he's like, "That's the first time I've been told that."
People are happy enough to point you in Mora's direction. I mean, they're a little weirded that you're asking for her, but also they're like, well, of course everyone's asking for her because, she's got everyone's granny. Yeah, whatever. And, yeah, she's got a kind of unremarkable house there, a bit close to the shore. There's Kelpington not too far off. And they'll probably mention that, yeah, and she's living with Janet Brody. You've met the Brodies, surely. Their mother.
Oh, nice. I would very much like to meet her. So I'll definitely head in that direction.
Yeah, it is no trouble at all to find it. It's fairly well marked. They've got a little garden next to it that's not doing too well. I mean, it's also early spring. It's the wrong time for anything to be coming up, but the ground doesn't look like it's great. They probably don't have a great living from farming alone.
Yeah. I'll continue approaching.
Pardon me while I die of a coughing fit.
I didn't want to just not acknowledge it, but at the same time, I'm like, it's muted. Please stay safe.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and as you approach, you can, sure enough, see. Oh my goodness! I just completely lost my grasp with the English language. Watch me buy time while I remember what words mean. You can see kind of small, sturdy built woman. I mean, that's probably the politest way you could describe her. She's probably a bit pudgy. She has a similar build to our scholar, perhaps. Kind of short, dark hair with a bit of gray going through it. Uh, Very determinedly, yeah, doughty, there we go. Seeding stuff in this garden because it's gonna produce, by God. And there's a bit of smoke coming up from the chimney. There's probably someone inside. And she'll kind of glance over as she sees you and wave a bit and go back to what she's doing. Like, you're weird, but you're not weird enough to really merit attention over planting kale.
All right. I think I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you while you work. I know it must be very important. But I'm looking for Mora.
That'd be me. What are you looking for me for?
Oh, just Cam over at the inn happened to mention your name, and I was just trying to get to know certain, I guess you could say, people of interest around here. I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Isaac McCarr. I'm actually just from our ship, the Pearl. We kind of ended up running into some damage with the storm from yesterday, so we're just kind of land bound for a little bit longer than we've been used to. So I'm just trying to get my bearings.
Yeah, she smiles faintly when you mention Cam. You know, kind of mumbles to herself that, yeah, he's a good boy. And when you mention the ship, says, yeah, oh, well, you must have found the Janet's boys then. They're sharp as kelp, but they're good with a ship.
Yeah. I'd say I got a similar impression out of character that's like completely unconvincing because that's not at all what he's thinking or saying. But he's like, yeah, sharp as kelp. Okay. And I think he'll you said Janet's boys? Her name's Janet Brody?
Yeah, she kind of jerks her head toward the house.
Right, yes. Someone along the way did mention that you two were staying together. I was actually... So, I guess I was wondering if you could maybe help me. I know I'm new around here, so I completely understand if people's tendencies towards me are the less you know, the better. But I just...
She pulls up the hoe she'd been using and leans upon it like you have just approached with the village gossip and you have her attention. She is amused and curious.
Okay. So, I guess I'd like to start with a question. I've heard the name mentioned a few, but no one's been really specific about it. Could you tell me more a little bit about Iona Downey?
She makes a face like she just bit into a really rancid bit of fish and spits. Says, yeah, there's not much to say about Iona Downey. Unless you're into that trade. Which, yeah, you look like a good boy. I'd assume you're not. But I wouldn't be the first time I judged someone wrong.
What is her trade? No one's really been forthcoming with that information.
Liquor mostly, though. She doesn't make it herself, just ferries it. You know, that sort of work.
Liquor. Okay. Yeah, a few of my companions and I ran into, I think Hugh was his name earlier, And he seemed to suggest that there was some cargo that they'd been waiting for, and I assume if he has any association, perhaps with Miss Downey, then there's certainly a connection there, and I'm assuming that cargo is probably, shall we say, flammable?
Is connected with Miss Downey, definitely, yes. And I couldn't speculate on what she's expecting. Might be another shipment, might be more ridiculous fripperies to fit out her house. Her house. None of my business, I can tell you that.
No, I fully understand. I guess I'm just curious. I happen to notice the sort of. I guess I'm wondering, is it actually her house or was it someone else's and she sort of moved in?
Yeah, she has a good laugh at that before saying that. No, nothing here is hers. She's just good at finding places to worm her way in.
I guess I've had some experience with
In a
that.
way, most of the town's hers now. If you count being in her pocket as being her possession.
You said most. Is there perhaps someone here who isn't?
She gives you a long look, like.
Ah!
And then also mentions, like, and the Brodies, they keep their own company, and yeah, not all of us for sure. There's some still fishing, coping.
Oh, yeah. I suppose that makes sense. That this being an island, there'd be fishing and such.
She's giving you a kind of affectionate look, like you might imagine your own grandmother giving you when she's thinking, "You're a little slow, aren't you? But you're sweet."
Forgive me. I've been out at sea, and admittedly, finding my land mind has been about as difficult as finding my sea legs.
What's a boy like you doing out at sea? You don't look like a sailor type, if you'll forgive my saying.
No, it's a long story that just started a long time ago with a bit of a runaway fancy. I kind of have been running with my fancies for a while. So I guess I don't know. I think that's kind of the truest thing that I've said in a while. I don't know.
She gives a knowing nod and another sort of like, yeah, she knows that feel deep in her bones. And just then, another woman with kind of silvery white hair, all done up like she's going to Sunday Mass, very neat and tidy, pops out and says, like, lunch is ready? And oh, my goodness, I didn't expect visitors. Should I put on extra or something? And she's kind of peering at you like her vision's largely gone, but she can tell there's another person here.
I mean, if it's not too much trouble, I could simply just. I'm perfectly okay with being on my way. I just don't want to take up too much of your time.
She looks offended that you had mentioned this being too much trouble. She's like, no, it'll be no trouble at all. Add a little water to the soup. Everything will be fine. Come in. We'll pull up an extra chair. The boys are out, so we've got lots of space. And you have been caught by two grannies. They are going to make sure that you eat lunch.
All right. And on my way in, I'll simply say, Janet, Brody, I presume. Sorry, I'm from the Pearl. We sort of became landbound, and your sons have been most helpful with trying to help us get back out to where we need to be. Say that with a question, kind of like not really sure where we need to be.
Yeah, yes, they're good boys. Yeah, you couldn't hope for much more. Although, yeah, they're good with ships. So wish they stick to fishing closer to shore, but they're good. And gives you probably more food that you could possibly eat. Like, I mean, they don't seem to have a ton around here, but they are going to make sure that you do not go hungry because, by God, that would be a stain upon their name. They could not besmirch if they let someone not eat his fill.
All right, and um, I think as soon as I've had my fill, I think I will politely excuse myself. But before I go, I'm going to go ahead and um, just ask maybe Mora and Janet both, since I have both of their attention. I want to make sure that I don't step on any toes, and I know it seems one of the many people, or one of the few people to avoid is Iona Downey herself, and I'm certainly maybe not as fond of Hugh as anyone ought to be.
Mora spits again, and Janet shoots her a look like, stop doing that in my kitchen.
Oh my god. And I think I'm just going to kind of ask, is there anyone that opposes Iona? I mean, besides, obviously, you two lovely ladies.
And Janet will very proudly announce that, her boys are doing just fine without any work from that woman. And there's Duncan, the watchman, but he's a little better than a figurehead. He's no idea where to start on her. He tries. He tries very hard. And she says that in a way that makes you think that he's not really trying that hard, but that she's not going to speak ill of him. But she's terribly proud of her boys.
Yeah.
If you hadn't gotten that impression already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
And of course, Father Gordon's not in her pocket. You can't buy off the clergy. That's just wrong.
Wrong, yes. Unheard of. Unfortunately, less. Have you had any visitors besides us lately? I guess I simply, I know who's common to deal with around here. I just want to make sure that I don't get any surprises,
Just people who live here, mostly. And and Morris sort of takes over that, yes, there's, just the locals. We all know each other. We kind of keep to ourselves. Don't get a lot of travelers in here. When Janet says that, oh, but there's been a very handsome young man who came by once or twice, just, offering better accommodations, and I'm not entirely sure what he was after. I think he wants to hire on the boys. But, of course, they wouldn't. They're good Scottish boys. They wouldn't get into that kind of work.
Well, I mean, sorry, what kind of work, if you don't mind my asking?
Janet gives you a kind of pained look, like she's going to have to speak ill of anyone, and this hurts her deep in her soul as she whispers harshly, they're into smuggling.
Oh.
And Morgan's kind of amused, like, this is not the worst word that's ever spoken in this house. Why are you acting like it is?
Yeah, and I think I'm just going to be like, all right, I'll certainly be on the lookout for him. I don't want to get involved with any of that ill-advised business. Did he leave a name? I would assume it would be easier to find him, or avoid him if I knew his name.
And Janet has to think for a moment because,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a while, and she knows everyone in town, but not necessarily all the newcomers. But she goes, it was a Mr. Palmer, I think.
Please excuse me. And he stands up, and like before he was like trying to be polite and like on his way out anyways, but like he dashes out there, and I think, just for the audience's sake, it's faster than I think he's ever run. Even when he was like just kind of having his stuff together, like on the ship when it seemed like everything was going to capsize. This is faster than he's run in a long time.
Yeah, and you can hear a little snatch of conversation like, "Oh no, what did I say?" And it kind of fades out into inaudible as you're just booking it away from here.
Yeah.
But let's cut back to the ship. What are Pearl and our good doctor up to?
Well, I mean, we ourselves can't actually do anything about this because they have the materials on shore to fix this.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say that you are gonna plant here and insist upon helping with repairs, then you can do that.
I feel like it'd probably, like, there's probably more interesting things happening on shore. But I do turn to Dr. Mott and say, I know the voices. We didn't hear them when we were on land, but if you'd like to listen together tonight, we can maybe come back or go even to just the shore. Perhaps we would hear them then. I don't know if they're tied to the ship or if it's the sea, but we can find out.
Yes, I think that would be interesting. Perhaps with the captain still on shore, in conversation with Hugh, we might look at the cargo.
What for?
I must confess, my curiosity has the better of me.
What do you think we'll find? Does it matter what the ships carry? Unless... Never mind.
These are the questions, which if I had the answers to them, I would not need to, I would not suggest this course of action. Now, I understand, forgive me, it occurs to me that perhaps I have placed you in an awkward position, that this might countervail some orders that you had received from the captain. If such is the case, then
Oh no, she doesn't give me orders.
Oh. Is that not an unusual arrangement aboard ship?
If she asks me to do something, I'll do it. But she doesn't give me orders.
Well,
we can look.
A most modern approach. Yeah, and I want to go look in the hold and see if there's like the dude asking about the cargo has me super curious about our cargo now.
And I will come along. Or does it look like most of the ship is occupied with pumping water out?
Not all of it. I mean, near the crack, they're focused on that. But there's some regular ship life going on. People trying to grab some sleep in their hammocks when they've got a break from pumping. The galley's still pumping out some food. It's much less interesting than what was ashore. There is no fresh oatmeal and eggs here, but you wouldn't expect that on a ship.
I will hand Dr. Mott his boots back.
Back on my feet.
And an egg, if you want it, since apparently it's lunchtime.
No, thank you. You will have far more need of your strength than I will for mine. And I am also, I must confess to having had a second bowl of oatmeal, and so find myself actually a bit logy. But I thank you for your offer.
Back in my pocket.
And I want to poke our noses into the hold.
You totally can. But when people notice you headed that way, they
Yep.
realize that it's Dr. Mott, the one who calmed the storm, and they're going to ask you to. Well, I think one step forward is like we wouldn't want to ask too much of you, but all the same, could you perhaps get the ocean to calm a little more so we can have just a break from the pumping, please? Yeah, you calmed the storm before. We know you can do it. And one kind of elbows him like, you're asking too much. You can't produce miracles on command. He's not going to want to do anything for us again.
I kind of shake my head and I say, forgive me, you misapprehend me. If you found solace in my words, if they comforted you, they did not calm the sea. And I just kind of like reach out a hand and I place it gently over his heart. And I say, they gave you the strength to withstand the waves. The sea was as it was and will be as it is, but if my words help, they help to steady you and not the sea.
When I was doing the elbowing, mutter something about you being so modest, and of course he would never admit it. And the other's like, well then, could you perhaps bless us to, keep with the pumping? And it's hard work. I'm sure you know, though. I imagine you don't do it yourself. Of course, that would be improper.
And I kind of hold out like my skinny arms, and I say, I fear that my efforts would only hinder your progress. My meager efforts would only hinder your progress. But if you wish, then and I kind of hold it I kind of hold a hand up to Pearl to say, like, this will only take a couple of minutes, and I'll climb down to where they're pumping, and I'll do the thing where I walk through and I put a hand on each of their shoulders and say, you have the strength to do this. The seas are calm. The sun is out. And the sea is calm. The sun is out. And I'll do my best to see to it that in the morning we bring some eggs on board the ship.
Not only have you given them blessings, but promises of fresh eggs. They are
Yes.
clearly bolstered by having received your blessing and go back to their work.
Can I say that as you leave, like, Pearl was kind of like looking down, eating an egg?
Absolutely.
A few of them seem to take this as promise that you can indeed produce eggs if need be. Like, you got a source. Look at Pearl eating fresh eggs. You will provide.
Gonna do my best. And so, yeah, let's poke our noses in the hold. Maybe sniff around some barrels or open a crate or two.
So the first thing you notice in the hold is that those sheep are kind of pissed. I mean, they seem to have weathered the storm just fine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But they are angry at everything.
Yep.
To the extent that a sheep can be angry at anything.
Yeah, they're probably like they can certainly be loud.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a barn full of them, and they decide they want to make noise, they can make a lot of noise.
They're putting up a racket. They would like to lodge a complaint with whoever is in charge of the storm. And the cows just look morose.
Yes.
Sad cow faces.
Yeah, it's not the best pasture here. So yeah, whatever, nod at them, and what what's down here? Are there crates? Are there barrels? What is the like?
There's a bunch of crates. There's a bunch of weird bits of paper with, it looks like someone pretending they know Latin, writing notes on them.
Pick
You're
a few
probably
of
used
those
to
up
those,
and
though.
like
They show up all
try
over
to
the
read
ship.
them.
They know Latin, huh? And I kind of, when Pearl bends over to pick one up, I say, wait a moment. And I look down and I'm like, this is the start of a Bible verse. This is something from Thucydides. This is from Poetics. How curious.
Pearl looks impressed.
And I'm gonna, I might have been showing off a little, just a tiny little bit there. And I kind of like start at like where I see the first scrap, and I read them kind of in sequence as I find them on the floor.
And some of them are things like, remember to oil that device that spins in the wind, that kind of stuff, where he's clearly cludging together the Latin for what you would call that thing.
And I'm going to try and sense what's beyond the message that these random bits of Latin unlock as I read them in sequence.
Go for it.
So let's see what happens here. I'm going to roll plus beyond. My beyond is a straight up 0. So I'll just be rolling even Steven here. That's an 8. So I got 7 and 9. Fragments and Mysteries is like the perfect thing for trying to make sense of this. That's awesome.
Yeah, you catch a...
Oh, there's a pattern,
like,
I say.
Yeah, there is no doubt a pattern, and you can almost smell the sea air of walking out on the decks, trying to remember what it was you were going to do next, and you just can't quite get it. And then writing a scribbled note, stuff it in your pocket, and realizing later that it's not there anymore. And that sense of frustration and loss and oh wait, there's something else to do. You've completely forgotten about it now.
What does it say? Me.
It is like a lesson. It's like a lesson that I had at university where I remember the lecturer. I remember his tone. I remember how I felt while I was learning it, but I don't remember the words.
Like the voices.
It's different than the voices, but in the sense that I cannot make sense of them. But the voices I feel as if I'm about to make sense of them, and then they refuse to allow me to make sense of them. This, I feel like it's something I've known all along, but have forgotten.
We can keep them.
It's not important. Let us inspect the cargo.
All right then. And I think I pick a few up anyway and put them in my pockets with the eggs. But these boxes and barrels, yeah. Do any of them smell like anything in particular?
Yeah, because they've been strapped down. I mean, like you would. Cargo. But one of them seems to have broken loose in the storm, and it's slid across, and you can smell just alcohol leaking out of it. And you know that Captain Ward would probably be kind of pissed to know that any of her cargo broke.
Well, and we probably don't want the men to know that we are hauling spirits. because if
Especially not damaged spirits that ought to be, distributed amongst the crew.
Yes. So I'm not quite sure what to do. So like I turn to Pearl and I say, these are quite strong spirits. I fear that this will cause dissent among the crew if anyone should come down here and realize what we're transporting.
Should we get rid of it?
I don't know how we would do so in a... We can't do so without the approval of the captain. It just... preventing anyone from behaving rashly is my main concern here.
This doesn't matter, though. The alcohol. It's not important, is it? It's
certainly not to me. I have not partaken.
Or to the ocean?
I'm sure there are many bottles and casks have sunken into its depths, only to be carried away on the currents. I am sure that that the ocean does not notice a tipple such as this.
Then we can tell the captain and be done with it.
Perhaps that would be best. And if we want to, I have nothing else on ship. Do you have anything on ship?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we can kind of do scene there, I think.
Okay. Scene with the sheep still putting up an unholy racket in the background because they are pissed and no one is coming to see how pissed they are. This is an outrage. But hey, last we saw Isaac, he was booking it toward the ship. So what are you doing now?
Okay, how far away am I from the ship?
You can be basically there if you wanna.
Yeah.
How fast were you running? It was pretty fast.
I mean, if there was a moment where there was earlier there was a hill kind of going up and I kind of went up that hill a little bit before kind of going down towards the shore. I think that as I crest over that hill and the decline speeds me up, I am doing far better than I was even on the ship, where it's just kind of doing a whole booking thing that totally doesn't match up with how kind of roly-poly I'm kind of normally, and just...
And a few of the locals you'd ask for directions are watching what the devil has gotten into that guy? But they're not going to try to stop you. You're clearly running.
Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to probably... I want to find a way back onto the ship, and I want to find... I whatever I find first, I want to either find the Doctor and Pearl, or I want to do my own kind of cargo search, because the run on the way there, I'm piecing things together in a way that could only make sense if there's one thing that I don't know.
I'm super cool if we just want to do the thing where you're climbing up the ladder over the side as we're coming up out of the hold and we just meet there. Is that...
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hitch a ride to the ship with those strapping Brody boys.
Great.
You won't be confused that you want to ride, but whatever.
Yeah, and I think, I think it's just odd for anyone that knows Isaac, because for once he's not eyeing them. He is his eyes are looking at nothing but the ship. And he's kind of squinting at it
Mr. McCarr, are you in distress?
Doctor, could I have a word with you privately? Pearl, it's fine if you're here too. Also, hi.
Hi.
Yes, perhaps let's the captain is unsure. Let's use her quarters.
Good. That sounds great.
Did you run?
Okay.
Was something chasing you?
Something like that.
Oh dear.
But I'm not sure yet if it knows. Okay. Sorry, this is really.
We walk up the ship, open the door to the captain's cabin, and or whatever. I have a key to the captain's cabin. And we let ourselves in, and I lock the door behind us.
Okay. Doctor, you have a fairly good assessment of the goings on in this ship, and Pearl, I trust you implicitly in the sense that you seem to know not only how the ship works, but in some way how it works with the sea. So hear me out. Is it entirely possible that we do have a cargo of some kind? Perhaps.
Of course we have cargo.
Pearl and I were.
Go ahead.
Pearl and I were just down in the hold and inspected the cargo. It appears to be strong spirits of some sort. Some of them damaged during the storm.
Liquor. Okay.
Now, we didn't open every crate, but there was some spillage.
Okay. And then this next question is for both of you. I sort of got an inkling of this just from their initial interaction, but the captain knows who Iona Downey is, correct? It seems that there's something pre-existing there.
Yeah, she seemed to recognize that name.
I fear you have us at a disadvantage, sir. I heard the name Iona, but was not made aware of her. Family name.
Iona Downey. That's her name. She, as far as I can tell, she seems to have almost everyone on the island in her pocket in some way. But there are, of course, those who are not. Cam from the inn mentioned Mora, and she seems to be out of it. So do the Brodies, their mother included. I met them both earlier. As far as I can tell, Iona deals in the liquor business. Hugh seems to be working in some fashion with Iona. If Hugh believed that we had a cargo of some sort, and we do in fact have a cargo that would resemble something in his interest, but we were never made aware of it, who's to say that it's not that the captain didn't let us in on it because, oh, well, this was just supposed to be meant to be something kept just within the captain's knowledge. Maybe the captain has a reason for keeping it private, but also it's not meant to be something that Iona is supposed to have.
But why does this matter? We're going to be leaving soon.
I think that Mr. McCarr, correct me if I'm inferring anything that I should not. It seems to me that there are two parties who might be interested in what we carry in our hold, and their interests are not mutually aligned. And that should one discover that the cargo has gone to the other, it could create problems for the captain and thus for us. Am I following your logic?
Yes, and the crux of it, for me personally, is that I may, in fact, possibly know the other party intimately.
Oh. Um, that is a singular coincidence.
There have been too many coincidences here on this island. I'm not to say that the storm is necessarily part of it, but what I do know is that
Mr. McCarr, this other party who you know so intimately, what sort of terms did you part on? We are being frank with each other here.
Then, in my frankness, I can honestly say I don't know. That my last interaction with said party happened shortly before I joined the Pearl.
Do they know that you're here on the island?
Not as far as I know, and I'm not entirely sure that I want them to find out.
Well then, I can't speak for Pearl, but you can count upon my discretion.
Well, I certainly appreciate that.
Unless, of course, one of the reasons we are here is that that party has made arrangements with the captain to bring you here.
I don't know if I'm a part of it directly, but I think part of the arrangement has to do with the cargo that we have. I've been made aware of their current dealings, perhaps, and if it is the person of whom I think it is, then they've gotten themselves into something that I was not previously aware they invested themselves in. And I don't...
And you're concerned for their safety.
As much as I was concerned for all of yours, yes, I am strangely still concerned for them. And I want them, mind you, to be all right. I think it would be in my best interest not to be seen, but I think if we are to resolve this matter, then I must in turn be revealed.
What does your heart tell you, Mr. McCarr? If you give it free rein.
If I give it free rein, my heart currently is a child having a fit. It is screaming and rolling around on the floor, and it is in a state of panic, the likes of which can only be rivaled by the storm we experienced yesterday.
Tantrum of the spirit is never a good thing, but it will pass. Mr. McCarr, in what way what assistance can we offer you? You need but request it.
I request your advice. To be more specific, the business with which I will say Mr. Palmer has gotten himself into seems to be one of smuggling. So what I am worried about, besides just the fact of his own safety, is the fact that in a way we shouldn't even know about this. Because it seems as if we didn't already know this cargo was aboard, and maybe we were never meant to know.
And yet, here we find ourselves. Mr. McCarr, I am unaccustomed to dealing with intimate matters of the kind that you are seeking my counsel on. But I can say that poets the world over spend their lives seeking love, and that if you have found it, and you are unsure of how they feel, you can only ask them.
Pearl, what do you think?
Be happy. However you can.
Your concern is for your friend. And our concern is for our friend. Therefore, our concern is for your friend as well.
Doctor?
Take this gift. This is a gift. This is a gift that you have been given. Few of us have the opportunity to revisit past errors in judgment. When such a gift is laid before you, you must accept it.
Doctor, you may be able, as a surgeon, to even mend a broken heart. So
You give me too much credit, sir.
we will see. We will see where the credit is earned, I suppose. And I think to Pearl, I'll just say thank you.
It sounds like we need to leave the ship again.
Unfortunately, I think it does. And I say that with the full understanding, or as full as I am aware, of how uncomfortable that might make you. So whatever happens on land, I am sorry, and I take responsibility for that, for any of what it may cause.
I don't think you can.
No, but if I don't try, what sort of person does that make me? I have to give it a shot. And with that, I'm certainly okay with letting the scene fade, and let's deal with this next order of business.
And the scene fades into a commercial break as we hit our second break. So let's come back at about 20 after the hour again.
Great.
Yeah, there's a distinct feeling encaptured by coming back to see that the chat is full of just one long all caps scream that I'm not sure how to describe, but it fills my shriveled black heart with warmth.
I'm glad. I mean, meanwhile, I'm rethinking my entire life story. But no, this is. We'll see, because I feel like this is going to. There's definitely going to be a shift. Some kind.
So it sounded like y'all had a plan about where you're going next, or maybe not. I don't know. What are you thinking?
So I was thinking about this over break, and in my haste, one of the things that I never actually did was determine where exactly Mr. Palmer is. Or even if it's my Mr. Palmer. Who knows? It could be like a different Palmer. I don't know.
It's Dave Palmer. I don't know what you're thinking about. He's not that into you.
Yeah. We'll see. But I think the person that I want to ask. Oh man, I really should have stuck around and actually asked like Maura or Janet, because they've been the most forthcoming. Um. Oh. Oh, there's an idea, and a close one too. Uh. So I brought Fergus and Ian with me, right?
Yeah, they went to side up the damage and starting to work on it.
Perfect. That actually
Sounds
is.
like they're talking about bringing some other locals into it because, two people is not enough. But for now, it's just them.
Okay. I'm going to approach them wherever they're at right now, because I remember that their mother mentioned that they were the reason that Mr. Palmer was brought up in the first place, because he had offered them work, and I want to see if they happen to know around where he might be, if he's still around.
Yeah, you can definitely find them down by the crack in the ship.
Okay. I'll head down there. If you two want to accompany me, by all means. Okay.
And I just want to point out that when you find them, they've got their pants rolled up a bit because it's damp down here, and they're in shirt sleeves. Looking pretty hot right now, if I do say so myself.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. Yes, the ankles. Oh no. So I think I'm gonna kind of roll up my own pants just to make sure that I don't get those wet, and I'm gonna kind of like walk over to them, just kind of like whoop, bump, bump, bump. And then just kind of sound effects were unnecessary, but also necessary. Sure, okay. And I think I'm just gonna kind of go up and approach them and kind of wave and say, "Hey boys, how's everything down here?"
One of them laughs a bit at being addressed as boys, and the other just kind of waves to you, like, yeah, carrying on. Getting work started.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I was wondering if you two could help me with something. Sort of on land, so to speak. I actually, full disclosure, I did actually meet your mother earlier. A very nice lady. She had nothing but nice things to say about the both of you. Um, I was wondering, because she happened to mention someone that I'm actually rather curious about. Have you two had any interactions or dealings with a Mr. Palmer?
And one of them, you're pretty sure it's Fergus, but probably. I mean, chances are good, but maybe don't bet on it. So it's like, oh yeah, he's been by one. Yeah, bring us into the business. I suppose they haven't quite caught the whole island yet. And Ian proudly pops up that no, we are doing just fine on our own. I mean, the shipbuilding, of course, but yeah, we made some fishing improvements. We're doing very well. We don't need that kind of work.
No, I'm certain that you don't. Obviously, you guys have been doing such a good job as is. I simply wanted to inquire as to if you know where I might be able to find him. If he's still around. I know he's simply a visitor, but I just wanted to inquire.
If he's on the island, I'd start at Ionis. She knows where people are. I mean, he's working for her. He's got to stop by there.
Right. Thank you. I will certainly do just that. And I think I'll kind of mosey back over to my companions and just kind of say, all right, so I may have gotten the conflict of interest slightly wrong. There's an entirely separate possibility that he's working for the same person.
Well, the only way to know is to ask.
Yep.
That's what the doctor said.
You're right. I know the doctor said that. So I think that is exactly what we're going to do. So who wants to come with me to the bluff?
Pearl and I both Pearl and I both saw that house on our walk around, on our perambulation around the island.
It was much nicer than all of the others.
I'm curious. Are you? Lead on, Mr. McCarr. We are at your disposal to undo this Gordian knot that you have tied yourself.
Yeah, sounds great.
Forgive me. On our way there, could we perhaps stop at the inn? I have promised eggs to the crew, and we'll need to make arrangements for that.
Certainly. Although, if you don't mind, please make it quick.
I shall endeavor to act with alacrity.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I was going to ask what you all were thinking, but it sounds like you're all moving along the same path, generally. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we can smash gut to the inn with the, and if we can do that as a montage of me just like laying a bag of coins down to say, boil some eggs and send them out to the ship for the crew, then like we don't have to make that any more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, I think you get a clip of Agnes looking a little worried, like where is she gonna get all of these eggs? It's not enough to bring out some to impress a few guests,
Ching.
But that's a lot of people, and then chunk a bunch of money.
Yes, yeah.
She's gonna find some eggs.
She'll make it happen. Excellent. All right. Smash cut to the gate to Iona's house, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and it is quite a fine gate in a stone fence that has clearly been assembled pretty recently. They don't look terribly weathered.
So have you, Mr. McCarr, have you made Ms. Downey's acquaintance yet?
Nope. And in fact, all that I've heard has been that she's not a person necessarily to meet on your own terms, shall we say.
And are we under the impression that it is Miss Downey or Mrs. Downey?
No impression whatsoever. I know her name. I know her trade. I know some of the people that work for her, apparently.
Well then.
My hope is that it'll simply be in exchange of do you know this person? Okay, I'm going to talk to that person. It probably won't be that simple. I can only hope.
Lead on, sir.
Yep.
And as you're talking by the gate, someone comes to see what is going on with these people talking by the gate. And that person is a blast from the past, because it is indeed Mr. Victor Palmer, looking as good as he ever looked, and turning his attention upon you, like, there's a story here? And also, you ran away and left no forwarding address, and yet here he finds you on this godforsaken spit of land.
Oh, is there like if you're acting like that as a player, I'm presuming that your character is also kind of struck speechless in a way that yeah, like your suddenly interrupted logoria is not a thing that we are used to. So I want to read a situation here.
Yeah, it is.
There is very clearly something going on.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I would like to see what my impression of it is.
Okay. I will remain. I'll let you do that.
Remain flaily. I was going to ask, while we're rolling the one, if you perhaps want to test if your love is true, or if you think that relationship is done.
Oh, let's test that. Yeah, I'll let him go first.
Yeah. So what's it looking like?
I rolled a 5, so I failed my roll. I've either failed to gather what's going on or have a mistaken impression of what's going on. And
I would like to help. It seems like this is.
If you can get me to +2, then
I can try.
Hooray! Yes, yeah.
So I think Pearl just like is staring between Isaac and Mr. Names. Whatever this guy's
Victor
name is.
Palmer.
Mr. Palmer.
That guy works.
And let's see. 10. Oh, that is a 10.
Woo!
And so I guess it's actually an 11. So you get a +2 to that.
Fantastic. That bumps it to a 7. So I get my 7 and 9. What did you do to help? Is this like a total reverse of the other thing where you're like, you whisper something about his body language to me when I'm trying to like...
Yes. Yes.
That's so awesome. You're like, look at how he's standing or whatever, something like that. That's super cool.
And like pointing out the behavior too of Isaac. Just...
All right, so I can ask 2. And the first one always is, what here is not what it seems.
So am I answering that, or is the GM answering that?
I mean, it depends. Are you trying to read Victor Palmer? Are you trying to read your PC friend here? Are you just trying to read the situation in general?
Yeah, when you read a charged situation, this is the situation. This is not trying to read either of their thoughts. This is like very clearly there's something going on here. I don't know if he's married to that woman. I don't know if he's working for that woman. I don't know if he's that woman's brother or what. But I think I am quick on the uptake enough that the reaction makes it clear that this is probably the person he was being coy about on the ship.
Yeah, and Victor Palmer looks taken aback. You can tell that there is some history there, and he never expected to see Isaac McCarr again. Certainly not here.
Sure, but what here is not what it seems.
Yeah. It seems like he's probably not a major player. He wasn't expecting to see any of you. He's not in the loop.
Interesting. Okay. So his presence here is not an indication that he is important to what's going on.
He's got to be tied up in it somehow, but
that is really cool.
Nobody told him you were around.
Got it. Okay. who or what is my biggest threat?
Certainly not him. I mean, he was completely taken speechless by the appearance of, Dr. Professor Makar, and that's not an intimidating sort of thing. The biggest threat is probably still the fact that your captain is apparently, to some extent, in cahoots with whoever this Ionodani lady is.
Got it. Okay. All right. So if are you going to be speechless for a little while, Isaac? Or are you gonna start talking?
That will be determined when I make this roll.
Oh, that's right. You have some kind of lover thing going on. Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Okay. So I pulled up the sheet. Test if your love is true. Roll plus beyond, which, as far as I know, I have a 0 in beyond. So, okay. So I take it I just rolled 2d6?
Yep, just a standard roll, but plus nothing.
It is a 6. So the answer to that is, your love holds a secret in their heart that will hurt you.
Wait. I want to help. Can I help?
You can help,
At least
sure.
to make
I'm
this
curious to
worse.
see what helping means in this instance, but
Mm-hmm. I think he's obviously freaking out. And I'm remembering what the doctor said about being happy, and he doesn't look happy. And I think I reach over and just like touch his arm or something, and just like physical contact to, I don't know, not necessarily snap you out, but like, hey, you are here. We are here too.
so you can take a +1 to your roll here, in addition to adding the bonds, because you're acting on the doctor's advice.
Oh yes, that is true. Okay. That is a 10. So +2, which gives you an 8, I think.
It does give me an 8. Okay. So the 8 is your love is true, but nothing in this life is simple. Take +2 to your next roll, but the GM chooses one. And then the choices are your love is not pure, it is tainted by strange desires or ulterior motives, or your love is not strong, it may be swallowed by regrets or anger.
And I think the choice there is clear as Victor gathers himself enough to ask, yeah, Isaac? Where did you go?
Quick pause. You say the choice is clear. I'm not following which one you're talking about.
In that case, you may have to play to find out.
Fair. Oh, wait, no. No, as slow as I am sometimes, I think I figured it out, and I will just play to find out. And I think with the physical contact and the sort of understanding that he's not alone, leading up to this, I think part of the reason why it was slightly, even just a slight bit difficult to read the situation is because when Isaac was talking leading up to it, he miraculously stopped talking at the end of a thought. So it wasn't like he trailed off. It was that he made a complete sentence and stopped. So it was kind of a bit like, is it because of the situation? Is it just because he stopped talking and was finished? And I think because of the physical contact and the fact that you guys are there, I think Isaac just kind of takes a deep breath. It's been a long time, Vic.
Vic! You must be Mr. Palmer. Mr. Makar has mentioned you to us. A pleasure to make your acquaintance, sir.
Has he now? I thought he'd forgotten about me entirely.
Oh, no. Well, we have come to see. Shit, this means a player. We've come to see We've come to visit Ms. Downey. Perhaps Pearl and I will leave you to get reacquainted. Is Ms. Downey in?
Yeah, she's in. And he kind of makes a absent-minded gesture over his shoulder as it's clearly hitting him that Isaac didn't come here for him. He just happened to run into him. You can see his heart breaking a little.
Can I really?
Maybe you don't care at all. I'm sure that Isaac can see this.
You know what? I actually do care. And kind of noticing this, I'm gonna say I kind of turn. I turn to Isaac and I say, well, you're and I say to him, indeed, my friend, your heart has led you back to where it belongs. And I turn to Palmer and I grin and I say, "You are lucky, sir. Many of us, once we lose our lodestar, do not find it again." And I kind of point at him and I point at Isaac and I just sort of nod. And I'm going to try and manipulate him into believing that Isaac actually like part of our like the reason Isaac is here is to see him.
Yeah, so it says for NPCs ask you to promise something first, and if you make that promise, and I think it's the promise that you as doctor, and I'm sure that you don't look obviously like a Quaker, but you are clearly a man of deep conviction. Promise that you're telling only the truth and would not lie to him.
I'm a super hot man of deep conviction.
You're pretty hot.
Yeah. so there's that. What is the promise I make? He's asking me to promise that I'm telling the truth.
He's, as you are attempting to make it clear that you came here for him, he's promising but you mean that, and you wouldn't lie to me, right?
Oh, man.
Because he clearly doesn't believe you at first. You're going to have to double down on it.
Okay.
I mean, now that we know he's here, of course, it's kind of true.
And I will for the sake of my friend, I will promise him that this is true. That he never gave up looking for him. And if I can roll on that, then I will.
You can definitely roll on that. I'm eager to see what you do roll on that.
Yeah, well. You and me both. Oh, that's not good. That's a 5.
I would like to help him.
Please do.
And when you do, I want you to tell me how it is that you help sell this.
Yeah. So I think part of this, the bond, and part of this is actually, again, following his advice. Of when you find love, you find happiness, you have to hold on to it as hard as possible. And I think as he kind of grins at me and grins back at Victor, I just kind of I think I straighten up, take a step forward, put my hand on his shoulder and just say, Thank you, friend.
Oh man. Okay.
So, yeah,
Roll the
I'm
help.
not. Yep. Okay, so am I just rolling 2d6? Plus 2?
2d6. Yeah, plus your bond and plus that +1 for doing what the Quaker says.
Okay. Hey, 12.
Yes.
Holy crap, you are committed to this.
I'm surprising myself. So that bumps it up to, in this case, a 7, correct?
They changed the terms to suit themselves or demand concrete assurances first.
Take it away, GM.
Yeah, and Victor looks from Dr. Mott to you, and he's like, did you really? I mean, how'd you know where to find me? And he is looking for proof that you did seek him out.
Okay. Okay, I think... First, I'm going to ask him to confirm why he's here.
I don't think it works that way.
No, I just have.
I think we're on the spot and we got to deliver here. if he's gonna buy
Yeah,
it.
he gives you a look like, really, you're the one asking questions here? But I'll say that, yeah, I mean, you just up and left, and I thought that maybe that was a sign that I should, go into it. I mean, you always liked how bold I was, right? And I was staying there for you, but clearly that didn't matter to you, so I went to seek my fortune. I mean, why are you here? And he is waiting for you to answer that question.
Okay. This is going to be really me pulling this out of my ass. So
it seems appropriate for Isaac at this moment.
Great, because I think he reaches in. I reach in to my coat, and they're the notes that I gathered earlier from the ship that I never showed to anyone. And I think without I think I just kind of look at him and I say, just because I've been at sea doesn't mean my heart was too. And I just kind of hold up the papers like, I mean, you always did say you were going to go out and find your fortune. And maybe we both just needed to go our separate ways for a little bit so we could find it.
We'll just go see and I kind of take that the like, let there be a beat for that to sink in, and then I say, well, Pearl and I will go visit Miss Downey then, and like just out of there. Unless you want to hang around, Pearl.
No. I'm just gonna say, like, as we're walking away, I like pulled those notes that matched the notes that he had that I pulled off the ship, and I'm like,
Ryan, you're muted.
Fuck. I have to do that at least once a game. Anyway, the closing theme plays over this as you see them heading inside and you and Victor exchanging this loaded look. Credits start to roll. And that's where we cut for this session.
I'm perfectly happy with that.
With you having fucked up your love life forever.
We don't know about forever. There's one more session.
True. Yeah, maybe your love is true. I mean, it's not strong. It can be swallowed by regrets or anger, but it's there.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew that, like, as I thought about it and reread it, I was like, oh, it's that one. Because the other one was just, like, not sure how it pertains.
Yeah. So, we're going to do another round of stars and wishes. Um, do you want a short break to de-roll, or are you ready to roll into this?
Personally, for me, I'm on a tiny bit of a time constraint, so I'm perfectly happy to just jump into it.
Yeah, I realize we're getting close to the end, so I want to kind of breeze through this as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm
not
good rolling right into it.
Okay, I will start with Jim then. Let's go alpha order again.
Oh,
And we'll do stars and then come back for wishes.
yeah, boy, stars, Sarah, for our scene in the hold, like with the ship and figuring out what was wrong with the boat and stuff like that. That was just super, super cool, and I really liked that. That was really neat. And like, I feel like we're kind of inching closer to what the voices are actually saying, and I like that we kind of like peck at it a little bit. Kind of when we have those private conversations, and that kind of like every private conversation we have, that's sort of like, that's kind of the thing that's sort of hanging over it, which is just building in a way that I find really appealing and super cool. Peter, the like a gazillion uh stars for the clutch thing of the notes, because I was sitting here going, I got nothing, and you're like, whoop, and that was fantastic. Because like, that's a thing where like, whatever, we're all watching this like masterpiece theater production, and we're at home like, oh shit, no, he's not there for him, he's not gonna, and then he pulls out the notes and we go, oh, of course. So that was like, he happened to have his love letters in the pocket. That's so cool. And Ryan, stars for the slow burn going on here that I really like a lot. Some PBTA games, like whatever, your Masks or your Cartel or something like that, pushes you to like boom, 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 like kind of have plot stuff happening. But this is unfurling at a pace that feels like, like a 18th century novel or a 19th century novel, in a way that I am really liking, because it's a nice change of pace from some of the other games that we're playing, and I think it captures the you've done a really good job of capturing the genre and the kind of the tempo that I expect these stories to have. So I'm really having a great time. So thank you.
All right. First up, stars to Jim for I am absolutely really just loving the relationship that our characters have kind of created. And admittedly, like, the thing that I was a little bit mad at myself for was kind of that, like, I intentionally like separated myself for a bit, but when we came back together and had especially that meeting in the captain's quarters, and I just straight up went, I'm going to ask for advice, and your delivery and everything was so good. And to Sarah, stars, so many freaking stars. I like, there's something about how Pearl is, when they're present, there's something just kind of like, if this were Masterpiece Theater, it's like there's something just on the edge of the screen that's like just off camera that like is like it there's something mystical about this, something fantastical. And the fact is that whatever it is, it's hard to like articulate, but you bring it every single time. And I love how Pearl's kind of there for the people that they care about. And I just coming in with the physical touch thing was yes. And Ryan, I will echo the star that Jim gave about the slow burn. But I will also add on to that I love that you're keeping me on my toes. Like, even after I kind of did the whole thing in the captain's quarters where I went, I think it's all of this, and I didn't have all the information, and you just kind of let me go before realizing, towards the very end, out of character with what Jim was saying, that, like, I had it right up to a point. The problem was I kept going and just kept trying to connect everything like this Gordian knot. I thought that was a great analogy that Jim used, but I really appreciate that, like, and also just stars to you for allowing me to kind of wander off and interact with some of the NPCs. I feel like I do so much interacting with the NPCs, just me in doing that you're carrying so much of it, and I really just appreciate being willing to share the load. So thank you.
Near you.
Well, I'm gonna stare at you because, as the GM, I get to go last. That is my prerogative.
All right. Jim, those words. You know, like, just where to push. And I love it. Peter, for throwing yourself so wholeheartedly into this, your role in the game. It's been really nice to watch. And, like, I can tell, too, that, like, it's, like, I have real feelings. Ryan, for, like, all these really colorful NPCs, I'm, like, I love the two women at lunch and, like, Victor Palmer. And they give such a sense of life to this place, and, like, they all have their own side stuff that we kind of don't see but sense. And, like, the way that they kind of don't talk and the things that they don't say, I really enjoyed as well. And like everyone else has said too, the pacing of this is really nice, and it feels like it needs more than 3 sessions, but
So, star first to Peter for being such a bumbling sweetheart with Isaac. I love him, and it is so fun to mess with him because he reacts wonderfully every time, including cornering him with grannies. That was so much fun. And star to Pearl for being just, yeah, uncanny is the best word. I'm never entirely sure what's going through Pearl's head, and it's always weirder than I thought. And they're so attached to the ship, and I love it. It's so sweet, and so weird, and so sweet. And star also to Dr. Mott, who is by far the chattiest and the best at people, and yet that keeps backfiring on him in really fun ways. I love how he's always there with something to say, and it's not always quite the right thing to say, and that is so much fun. I'm gonna go backwards with wishes. So start off with my wishes. I am, again, really curious to see how you can't really affect it for good or ill so much as just complicate it. Your presence is complicating things, and I'm really curious to see what you do with that. And I want to spend more time on Pearl because I feel like I'm giving them the short shrift here, and they are so weird, and I want to see more about what they're doing and what they're thinking. But yeah, I am eager to see where this meeting goes next time.
Yeah, I think, like, being on land has influenced that. Like, I don't have as much to do here, but I'm excited to get to, if we get to, hopefully we get to, tonight with the voices, and I'd really like to work in transformation at some point, because it would be a shame if I picked the creature playbook and never got to do that. And I want to see more of this this relationship that is happening here as well. In between all the characters, really. built pretty good rapport.
Okay, wishes wise, I think one of my own wishes is that I think I mean, at least for me personally, I want to be more okay, and I think it'll be a little bit more natural the next session to stay with the group. As much fun as it was to have a little side venture, I really it's been funny to me because obviously one of the sort of aspects of the lover playbook is that if they change lovers, there are things that happen. And because now there is actually, you know, another character in place that does affect that, I'm curious to see if there's anything in the last session that may shift those feelings. So I'm interested to see kind of where each of our paths take. I certainly would like to interact more in maybe a less tense state with both Dr. Mott and Pearl. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm also really, really like going to enjoy seeing where the relationship between Isaac and Victor goes, because now that it's out in the open, uh, there are places it could go, and I really don't know. I'm not even going to try and guess where they go, but I'm excited to explore it next week.
I want to second Sarah's wish to see Pearl get to transform. Maybe crank the weirdness meter up a notch or two on the next session. I think that's we kind of seem to be headed maybe in that direction. But to definitely give Pearl a chance to do the like the creature thing, whatever that looks like. I mean, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be some crazy big fight scene or anything like that. But to give Pearl a chance to do that is, I'm really looking forward to it. The other wish that I have is that the captain is a total cipher to us right now, and to maybe like find a little bit about her like as a person, and maybe like get a little bit of a window into her motivations and maybe get to know her a little bit, because I think it's kind of ironically we have a better idea of what's going on with most everyone in the island than we do the captain of our own ship. And which is kind of, that's just sort of the way that it's worked out. We really haven't had a chance to interact with the captain, but to next time maybe get a scene or two where we can see what makes her tick would be kind of cool.
Sweet. And we've run like 4 minutes over, so I will let you all go if you need to go. But if there's any other party comments you want, feel free to make them. Otherwise, I'm going to kill this broadcast. Cool. That's it. If for some reason you're watching this and aren't aware of Gauntlet Hangouts, you should try them, because there are a lot of games going on, such as this one, which you could play in. Not this one in particular, but other games.